staying in the same hotel in the Philippines. It was cool though.
Wow. Did you get to meet him?
Yeah, yep.
Yeah, he was there to fight Ricardo Lamas, but then the card got canceled.
Yeah. That's what it was with Carl Lamas, yeah.
I saw also on your Twitter you watched UFC 217. Not saying that you're some aficionado or historian, but was that some people are saying greatest card of all time for you? Was that the greatest card that you've ever seen?
Yeah, yep. The greatest card I've ever seen. Three new champions on the same card is probably something we're never going to see again.
Are you watching these cards alone, or do you have buddies who are also fans?
Yeah, no, I watch. I haven't played with too many MMA fans, but Dwight Howard's a big MMA fan, so him and I we watched it together. So yeah, I mean, I don't think that's the greatest card I think I've ever seen.
Were you pulling for a GSP to beat Bisping, or vice versa?
No, yeah, I wanted GSP to win. I really wanted to see a good fight. It was actually weird. I always, do my predictions before the UFC events, and it was the first time I was ever 5 for 5 in my prediction.
What? You picked all three of those?
Yep, I picked all three of them. Yeah,
Get out of here. No one picked that.
I swear to you, my little brother and my stepfather thought I was crazy for not picking Joanna.
What?
Yeah. Yep, my first time I've ever been right on all.
Why would you pick Rose over Joanna? Like, what about Rose made you think that she was actually going to beat Joanna, the first person to beat her?
I thought Joanna was, obviously she's very, very good. I think that in her last couple of fights, she's been hit. And it seemed like gradually she kind of got hit more and more. Sometimes she didn't, but I just felt like she was taking, she was taking some hits, and I thought Rose had the power to do what she did. I mean, obviously it's easy to say that now because, but that's generally, what I thought. I thought Rose was really focused and composed throughout the whole, throughout the whole media.
Yeah.
And I did take a chance, obviously, but I really thought Rose, if somebody could beat her, I thought it could be Rose. I thought she had the right intangibles to beat her.
I love the idea of NBA star Rookie of the Year sitting down and watching a Rose Joanna press conference and analyzing their stare downs and stuff like that. It just seems so crazy to me, but maybe not. Did you hear that the UFC is coming to Charlotte in January?
Yeah. I'm definitely got to get there if we're not playing away.
You didn't check the schedule yet? I feel like that would be the first thing you did.
I know, I didn't. I'm slacking.
What is there a dream fight that you'd love to see? Obviously a lot of people want to see Conor fight Tony Ferguson. Some want to see the Nate Diaz trilogy fight. Is there one that you're really pushing for? Is there one that you really want to see right now?
I don't think right now. I really wanted to see Conor and Khabib in Russia.
Wow.
I really wanted to see that fight.
I love it.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
But I think those would be two great fights. I wish Nate would fight again, whether it's Conor or somebody else. I wish he would. I think, Tony versus Conor is going to be really good if, they end up fighting. But, those two guys, they're obviously, they're excellent fighters.
Did you see this footage of Conor on Friday jumping into the Bellator cage? And did you see that?
Yeah, he lost his mind a little bit, I think.
Do you watch Bellator too, or just the UFC?
I watch UFC more, but I do watch some Bellator too. I watched, what's the guy's name? He's not in Bellator anymore. He actually just went to boxing. Is it Michael?
Michael Venom Page, MVP.
Yeah, Venom Page, MVP, yeah. I watched a couple of his fights. Yeah, is he still in Bellator, or did he go permanently boxing?
No. He was actually on the show a couple weeks ago. No, he's still part of Bellator, and he might fight in December. They just kind of let him do this one thing. He wanted to do it But yeah, he's definitely still part
Okay.
of Bellator and will return. He's great. He does crazy
Okay.
moves. He dances and everything.
I know, I know. Yeah, I love watching him fight. Yeah, I definitely know more about the UFC, and I'm starting to get into Bellator more. I like the young kid from Bellator. I know he lost his first fight, but he won his second fight with a
Eric
crazy
Pico.
knockout. Yeah, Eric Pico.
Wow.
That
You're
was
watching everything.
Yeah. And
By the way,
it's funny because I feel like UFC is like, obviously they have the rep as the best fighters, and they probably do, but like Bellator is like not as far as people behind, as far behind as people think.
yeah, no, they're certainly making a push and signing some big names. Very recently, Rory McDonald, guys like that. By the way, I have some bad news.
Yeah.
You're in Miami the night of the UFC in
Yeah.
Charlotte.
Yes, yeah,
That's a bummer.
yeah, it's alright. I'll catch one in the summertime.
Yeah, it won't be a big card anyway. It's just a fight night. You won't miss out on too much. By the way, just curious, and I asked Darren this question when he was on the show a couple of months ago. You're part of a players association, correct? And there's a lot of great benefits for that. I don't know how much you pay attention to this stuff, but there's been a lot of this talk in the news that the UFC fighters should try to unionize and get. I mean, they have a TV deal coming up, for example, and they make no money off the TV deal. You guys make. I mean, we saw what happened with the salary caps a couple of years ago. Do you think that fighters should band together, or do you think that this is too much of an individual sport that they can't do that sort of thing?
Oh, they absolutely should. I think it's crazy that they already don't have like a union, and it's hard to like, come on, like they put their lives on the line. Every time they step in the ring, there's no reason why that their payouts are way different than they are now, and it's because they don't have a union. You know what I mean? Dominique and I were talking about it, and I was like, how don't you guys have a good enough union to where you guys don't have health insurance, or you guys don't have, you guys don't get paid more? To me that's beyond crazy. And it is. It's like it's going to need to take the top guys of the UFC to not fight until the payments are, where they should be and what their privileges are. It's going to take the Conor McGregors. It's going to take the GSPs. It's going to take the Stipe's. It's going to take those guys to hold out so that everybody else, can get, what they deserve.
Yeah. Do you see that happening though, or do you think that this is too much of a selfish sport? Like you see a Conor being the kind of guy who's like, I'm going to sit out for the greater good of the future and the younger guys, because they have to fight to get there and they make no money to get to the top. And then once you get to the top, you don't want to lose that money. You finally made it. You have to scratch your way up there.
Yeah, I mean, maybe, who knows? I'm not going to say he would. When he's made a bunch of money, he's made a bunch of money off the Floyd fight.
Right.
So, maybe that's, what it takes. It definitely, needs to be done. You look at other sports, there's always possible lockout. So you never know. You never know. There may be a UFC lockout.
By the way, how often do you see Michael Jordan? Is he just around all the time?
He's around sometimes. He comes, he pops his head into practice or in the locker room. And I know at the games he's there, so me too.
Is that wild to just have the greatest of all time just walking around as your boss?
Yeah, I mean, his daughter went to Syracuse with me, so
Oh, really?
A little bit there. So it's still a shock to see him that he to look at him and know he's the greatest player ever. But yeah.
Is he forthcoming with advice? Is he is he the kind of guy that's going to come up and talk to you and be very open with how you should be doing things?
I think he's just more of the he's just going to be there to kind of play his position. He doesn't want to he probably doesn't want to make anybody nervous or because if he talks to you and it's am I doing something wrong? I don't know. I'm sure he gives guys compliments here and there, but I think he's more of a just let you play your game type and just go out there and move.
And just curious, I mean, I know you've kind of bounced around a little bit. Do you feel like this is a stop for a while? Do you feel like you found a home here in Charlotte? I know it's early and everything, and you probably didn't envision after winning the Rookie of the Year, it going like this. But do you feel like this is a place that you can actually flourish and stick around?
Yeah, I can see it. I know it's going to take a little bit of time with me coming back from my injury and me getting interviewed again. But definitely, I really like, the guys on the team. I love the coaches. I think there's definitely a spot for me where I can, help the team out. And now it's just, putting that all together.
Well, I'm pulling for you, man. I actually was hoping that the Knicks were going to sign you because they needed a point guard. They still probably do need a point guard, and I was hoping that that was going to happen. But happy to see that you landed with the Hornets, and more importantly, happy to know that a fellow Syracuse guy is a big MMA fan. Your knowledge is great, and it's a lot of fun to talk to you about it all. You're always welcome here. If you ever want to if you don't have enough friends that want to talk to you about MMA, you can come on here and wax poetic and get it off your chest.
Sounds good to me.
All right, thank you, Michael. All the best to you, and great success this upcoming season. I wish you nothing but the best.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, there he is, Michael Carter-Williams, the point guard for the Charlotte Hornets, former Rookie of the Year, former Syracuse Orange, now doing his thing in, I believe, the Queen City. They call Charlotte the Queen City. I do believe that is called the Queen City. Unfortunately, he will not be attending the event there when the UFC comes to town in January, but he's a man who's able to. I mean, look at Boston. What a great event that was! Wow, first and only event. UFC on FS1. Number one. What else was on that card? Uriah Faber gets on Katara. Chael against Shogun. Joe Lozon was on the card. Travis and Overeem, Connor and Max Holler. That was a good one. That was a really good one. All right. Thank you very much to MCW for stopping by. One more guest to go. It has been a packed show, but I'm very curious to hear what our next guest has to say. He got some bad news mid last week. Found out that Dominic Cruz, big fight for him, big opponent for him, was out of his fight on December 19th. Did I say December 19th? No, December 30th, UFC 219 in Las Vegas. Very important fight in the bantamweight division. Now everyone wants to know what's happening with Jimmy Rivera since that news came out. Aljamain Sterling has been campaigning for a fight against him. And then you saw on Saturday, if you watched the UFC event in Virginia, Marlon Moraes, as I said around an hour ago, didn't just ask for this fight, didn't just call out Jimmy Rivera. That was an impassioned plea, almost like begging for this fight, a very emotional call out, if you will. And so that got me thinking, let's hear what Jimmy Rivera has to say about all this. He joins us now via the magic of Skype. There he is, Jimmy Rivera. Jimmy, how are you?
I'm doing good, man. How you doing?
I'm doing great. So let's start at the beginning. What was your reaction when you found out that Dominic had to pull out of the fight?
I was wondering what knee he hurt. And then we heard it was a foot or a leg, and then we heard actually from someone else that it was actually his arm, that he broke his arm. And I just, I felt bad in a way that sucks because I've been there, I've been hurt. No one wants to be hurt. So I was like, I said, I hope, obviously I hope he has a speedy recovery. I didn't put anything out on social media, but it is what it is. And then I got a lot of people starting to say, I want to fight you, or all this other social media publicity stuff. So it was very interesting to see and go through it. And it sucks in a way because it was going to name the number one contender, and this was definitely going to be a definite. And I was looking forward to the fight to actually fight with him as well. It was, he's a legend in the sport. He's been around forever. It was definitely the next step and to help me get closer to the belt.
Correct me if I'm wrong. You postponed your honeymoon to take this fight, correct?
Yeah, I actually postponed my honeymoon twice. One for Brian Caraway last year and got hurt. And then postponed to this fight. We actually moved it to next year because this is something, fighting, this is something serious. It's my second passion, something serious. You have to be there mentally and physically, and taking a week off during Thanksgiving while I'm in fight camp was just not, not smart, not right. So I think gotta have a lovely wife that is always there to support me. And we moved our honeymoon again to next year in the beginning of the year, but we have no idea what's gonna happen now.
You know what the lesson here is? Never postpone your honeymoon.
Yeah, I wish, huh?
Yeah.
But it's not something that we factor in it happening. We're assuming. I have someone asking the question beforehand, what if Cruz gets hurt? And I can't think the whole camp he's going to get hurt, and I won't train right, I won't prepare right. So I'm like, all right, Cruz is in, we're going to fight. And then getting that text from my manager and saying, he called me, and then he texted me. Well, he called me and said, hey, why you call me? Don't tell me Cruz is hurt.
Oh.
Call him back and find out this sucks. And, it's very emotional, it sucks in the long run. And now it's like, all right, what's next?
The great Lloyd Pearson of Balji Group was the bearer of bad news. I'm sorry that he was the one to. Well, yeah, that's probably part of the job. So what do you want? Forget about the people who are calling you out. If you had your way right now, and I say to you, okay, what do you want as a result of this? What's your perfect scenario?
Fighting TJ for the belt.
And if someone says to you, well, you don't just get to skip the line, so not skip the line, but you were going to fight someone, why should you get a title shot now? What's the response?
My response is very simple. If Dom got hurt, and I was like, I understand. So I would say, all right, let's let Cody and I fight, and that helps Cody get back to title contendership, and I would fight him as a number one contender, but he's hurt. So both Cody and Dom are hurt, so I automatically, that makes me number one contender. At the end of the day, I'm 5-0 in the UFC. No one's at my ranking. I'm on a 25 win streak. No one has that. And I'm undefeated at 135. So my first 2 fights of my career were at 150 at a catch weight. And I learned the hard way. My second fight I lost by split decision. I learned the hard way that I had to cut weight. This is going from amateur pro is a completely different thing. And I'm undefeated right now at 135. So I think the next and most reasonable is fighting TJ for the belt, and my credentials are there. I've won 3 belts, defended 3 belts in 3 different organizations, and vacated them. I'm in the UFC now, I'm 5-0. No one's on that winning streak. It makes the most sense.
Did you or your management express this to the UFC, and if so, what did they say?